Alright, what is up, guys? It's Slippy here to talk about UFC 296, which happened yesterday. I'm just going to go over the main card. We're going to talk about the fights, how they went. Going into this card, I think everybody agreed that it was super stacked, and we thought that every fight was going to be just a complete banger. I mean, on paper, they were all banger fights. You know, you got Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell, which ended up being cool, but not much of a fight, if we're being honest. Shavkat versus Stephen Thompson. It was either going to be this amazing fight on the feet or it was going to be like one-sided domination on the ground. Edwards versus Covington should have been a great competitive fight. None of that really happened. Most of the fights were a letdown. But we'll go over them. We'll start with the main card opener. Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. Brutal knockout. This was definitely probably, I'd say, the most memorable part of the card. If not this, then it was probably Cody Garbrandt's knockout. Yeah, absolutely brutal knockout. Really hard to watch, to be honest. There wasn't much going on in the fight. It was just them feeling it out on the feet. Bryce Mitchell, not being a great striker, took the fight on short notice. Probably didn't have the best timing down. I don't believe he even shot a takedown. Maybe he shot one, but I don't think he did. They're just testing on the feet. Eventually, they both go for some shots. Bryce Mitchell dips his head off to his left, and Josh Emmett throws like a right hook, right overhand type thing. More of an overhand, I guess. Catches Bryce Mitchell right on the mouth, man. Hits him right in the teeth, caves his head in, knocks him down. He was out cold right away. That was brutal. He goes down and then proceeded to like have a seizure and stuff, and it was definitely hard to watch. I know a lot of people don't like Bryce Mitchell because of his politics and his religious beliefs. You can think what you want about Bryce Mitchell. He is kind of weird. He's like a flat earther, which is strange. He seems like a nice guy though, and no matter what kind of person you are, unless you're John Jones, I don't want to see somebody having a seizure on the ground. You know, like that's. Yeah, it was hard to watch. I guess good performance by Josh Emmett, but this is pretty much what I expected. I thought it would go a little longer than that, but I didn't really see Bryce Mitchell being able to out-wrestle Josh Emmett on short notice. Josh Emmett is just such a tank, and Bryce Mitchell he's not like the most physically imposing guy for the division. On short notice, probably didn't have enough cardio to go the full 3 rounds on short notice either. At least I would assume not, but we won't know because he got starched early. Brutal finish. Good job, Josh Emmett. I don't know who he's going to fight next. I would kind of like to see him fight Brian Ortega, to be honest, but Ortega's fighting Yair for some reason because Ortega never has to take a step back. He just gets to fight forward no matter what. Maybe they'll just rebook the fight with Giga Chikadze. That would be cool. I think Giga Chikadze would have a good chance of beating Josh Emmett because I still don't think Josh Emmett's that good. He just hits like an absolute truck. Definitely the hardest hitting guy at 145. I'd say he hits harder than Ilia Topuria. He's just nowhere near as good as Ilia Topuria. But yeah, great knockout. Definitely so far probably knockout of the year, which we're at the end of the year, so. And probably knockout of the year. I'd have to go back and kind of look at some of the other highlight knockouts of the year, but that one was insane. Best like one punch knockout probably since Ngannou knocked out Overeem. It was a scary one, but it was pretty cool. Moving up the card, we're gonna talk about Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. This fight was just kind of sad. First round was pretty fun. They were both landing some decent shots. Kind of proving that Paddy Pimblett is definitely not top level. He had way too competitive of a fight with Tony at this point in Tony's career. Paddy Pimblett is never going to be anything too special in this division. I think we all already knew that. Good first round. He definitely hits hard and he has a chin. He hurt Tony pretty bad in the first. It was looking pretty fun, you know. Hit him with a big flurry, had him rocked, chasing him around the octagon. Tony's backing up. Paddy's hurting him. Next 2 rounds though were mostly just Paddy laying on top, landing some decent ground and pound, nothing too crazy. Tony hitting him with elbows off the bottom. I'd have to rewatch it. I had friends over, so I wasn't paying as close attention as I would if I was watching it by myself. In the moment, though, with people there, so maybe not paying as much attention as I should, I thought maybe Tony could have got the second round just off of shots off his back, because it looked like he landed way more off his back to me than Paddy landed on top, and it is damage-based scoring. So I wouldn't have been surprised if it was like 29-28. I don't mind 30-27 though, because Tony really didn't do enough. His takedown defense just isn't there anymore. It looked like Patty could have almost had a rear naked choke, I believe, in the first round, maybe the second. It's hard for me to remember off the top of my head. Not a great performance by Patty. Not a great performance by Tony. Tony needs to retire. Patty needs to... I don't even know what Patty needs to do, honestly, because I don't really want to see him step back way to the lowest ranked guys in the division. There's just no excitement there. But if he moves up anymore, he'll probably just lose. I don't think he could beat Bobby Green at this point. Well, he actually probably could beat Bobby Green just by chinning him because he hits so hard and he seems to have a good chin himself. But if he doesn't knock him out, Bobby Green's just going to piece him up the whole fight. Yeah, not a great performance, not a great fight. It was okay. First round, like I said, it was fun. The rest of the fight, kind of mediocre. Not a high skill level fight at all. Patty winging shots with no footwork and no defense and not much technique at all. Just these really wide straight arm hooks when he's backed up against the cage. It's just really weird to watch, to be honest. And you definitely watch it and you're like, this is some low level MMA. Why is this on the main card of a pay per view? It's because Patty and Tony are big names, not because they're great fighters anymore. Because they're just not. Moving on up the card. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This fight was also super disappointing. That's kind of the story of this card. Just disappointing fight after disappointing fight. This fight should have either been a great chess match, striking match on the feet, where Wonderboy could have had a good shot, because I think he's definitely a better striker than Shavkat. Shavkat has more power and the ability to knock out Wonderboy. Shavkat doesn't really move his head much, so it would have been a really interesting fight on the feet. Or what we thought would happen going into it is Shavkat should have been able to take down Wonderboy like Burns did and like Belal Muhammad did and dominate him. And I thought he would. I thought he would get Wonderboy down and TKO him with ground and pound in the first round, because this is the savage Shavkat Rakhmonov, right? That's what we thought he was, but in this fight, he didn't look good. He got the win, he got the finish, great. First guy to submit Wonderboy, that's cool. He keeps his 100% finish rate. But leading up to the finish, it was him holding Wonderboy against the cage, hitting him with little shots, trying to get him down and really struggling to do it. Eventually managed to do it, and he got the choke, and Wonderboy tapped with 5 seconds left. Wonderboy, I don't think he knew that he only had 5 seconds left. When the clap happened at the 10-second mark, Wonderboy had the choke was in, and I think his ears were covered up by Shavkat's arm, and he couldn't see the clock. I think if he knew that there was only 5 seconds left, he wouldn't have tapped. But he did. Oh well, good win by Shavkat. I guess just not a great performance. I don't think he gets the next title shot off that. He might. I wouldn't be surprised if Leon takes a long time to come back, though, because Leon's not the most active fighter, and we end up seeing Islam Makhachev move up for a welterweight title shot. Because Shavkat's stock I don't think went up after this fight. I think Belal Muhammad still deserves it more. It wasn't. It was. This was just kind of a lame card, to be honest, but whatever. It's okay. So good win by Shavkat. Unfortunate for Wonderboy. I'd like to see Shavkat fight Gilbert Burns next, or even Colby Covington. Colby Covington just lost, so I wouldn't mind seeing them go at it. At this point, I don't even know who wins. Neither of them look good. There's kind of a question mark on Colby, whether or not he'd look better if he was more active, but he looked really old and slow today. But we'll get to that in a minute. Next fight, Alexandre Pantoja, or however you say his name, versus Brandon Royval. This was the best fight on the main card, in my opinion. It was the most fun. It still had a couple kind of dud rounds where it was just Pantoja had Royval on the ground. Royval was tying up his leg between his, just kind of holding him down in half guard, keeping him on top of him. He didn't really have much. He wasn't in a rush to get to his feet. I'm trying to think of the word to use. I don't know. The word is. I can't think of it. I can't speak either. Apparently, Royval didn't really do as much as he could have. I felt like he had. I still can't think of the word, but he could have tried harder to get up, is what I'm trying to say. But I feel like he just accepted being on the ground, having Pantoja in half guard, and he was just maybe waiting for the next round almost so he could get to his feet and try again on the feet. Pantoja was just clearly the better fighter pretty much everywhere until the last round. Pantoja looked really tired. Royval was still looking a little bit fresh, but then he didn't really go for it the way he should have. He was throwing these kind of pitter-patter shots, just 1-2s down the pipe, nothing that vicious, nothing that you would kind of expect Royval to do. You'd expect him to go nuts at the end and try to win that belt. He really didn't. He just kind of tried to outpoint Pantoja in the last round, it seemed like, and Pantoja eventually got another takedown, and he was able to land enough shots to win that round. And I think Pantoja won 50-45, 50-45, and 49-46 or something like that. Clear win from Pantoja. I like Pantoja. I think he has fun fights, even though he has to like kind of hold the guy down a couple rounds. At least those early rounds, that first round was really fun. Pantoja, he just comes out guns blazing, man. He doesn't really warm into fights at all. He just goes right away, and it's fun to watch while it lasts. And definitely not as good as the fight with Brandon Moreno. Still not bad compared to the rest of the main card. It was a great fight, but in reality, it was just kind of an okay fight. But it was a good win by Pantoja. I really don't know who he's going to fight next. Not sure who deserves the shot next at flyweight right now. Maybe Askar Askarov if he gets a win. Maybe Kai Kara-France if he gets a win. I feel like there's probably somebody that I'm missing at flyweight right now. Maybe Manel Kape if he can get like a good win. Maybe they'll bump him up even though he's a little lower down in the rankings. I don't see them giving Moreno another shot anytime too soon. So yeah, good win by Pantoja. We'll see what happens with him next. On to the main event. We got Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, or Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, I should say. This fight sucked. Like I said, I was watching with friends, so I wasn't like too bummed in the moment. I was confused as to why Colby was fighting so slow. He looked really slow. His timing looked off. His takedowns looked really sloppy. He just didn't look like the Colby Covington that we're used to. In his last fight, he looked way better. I get that was against Masvidal. Masvidal's not as good as Edwards. But it wasn't just like his opponent's better this time, so he's not successful in what he's trying to do. It looked like he wasn't trying as hard as he used to, and he looked genuinely slower than normal. He didn't have the volume that he normally has. He didn't have the pressure he normally has. I couldn't tell if he was scared of Leon or if he just had serious ring rust issues, and I kind of feel like it was more of the ring rust, maybe a little bit of fear. But yeah, after all that talk Colby had leading into the fight, it was just a really embarrassing performance, to be honest. I mean, Donald Trump was walking out during Colby's post-fight interview. Trump didn't even stick around for it. I think even Trump was like embarrassed about that fight. Not to say that Leon did that much better, because to be honest, Colby was doing pretty much nothing the whole fight, and Leon was just doing a little bit more. It wasn't like a one-sided. I mean, it was one-sided. It was clearly Leon's fight to win. He was winning the whole time, obviously. But he didn't do that much. He just did a little bit more. It was a very like Israel Adesanya, Marvin Vettori-esque almost, except even less exciting than that. But like where the champion just did enough more to win the fight. I felt like Leon could have easily done way more than he did and put a stamp on it and really let his anger out if that's what he wanted to do. But he didn't. He was just content kind of winning on the scorecard. He kind of just let Colby win the last round, it looked like. It wasn't a great performance by either guy. It really makes me not excited about the future of welterweight if those are the kind of fights we can expect from Leon and if those are the kind of performances we expect from Colby moving forward. I never thought I'd say this, but I actually really miss Usman as champion. I didn't like Usman much personality-wise, but he had way better fights than this, and he was active, and it was, welterweight kind of sucks right now. Great contenders coming up. The contender fights at welterweight are still great. We got Jack Del Manoleta coming up. We still got Gilbert Burns in the mix. We've still got Shavkat in the mix. We still got a lot of fun fighters in the mix at welterweight. Sean Brady got a good win in his last fight. But we still got Jeff Neal. He's always fun. But yeah, the champion right now, he's kind of boring. He just doesn't have great fights. It was a really disappointing fight. And to be honest, prior to this, I've always been a good, like, not a huge fan of Colby Covington, but I have been a Colby Covington fan. I've always thought his fight style was pretty fun. People say he's boring because he's a wrestler. They call him a crotch sniffer. His wrestling style is way more fun than most wrestlers in most of his fights. He has exciting, entertaining fights for a wrestler. High volume, high pace, usually really fun to watch. This sucked. This fight was so lame, and his trash talk has always been kind of annoying, but I've always just been like, hey, he's playing a character. It's not really my favorite thing, but it's not a big deal. But when you bring up some dude's like dead dad, you've gone too far. There's a clip of Colby Covington on a podcast. If you just look up on YouTube, Colby Covington breaking character, Colby Covington being nice, or something like that. There'll be these compilation videos of all the times that he's like been nice to people, and in most of those they'll have a clip from some podcast where he says that when it comes to his trash talk, he never crosses the line. He just puts his toes on it. So he says specifically, he's like, I don't ever bring up family, and I won't bring up religion, and I won't bring up race, but I will bring up nationality, whatever, that kind of stuff. He broke his own code, okay? Like, he says he wouldn't talk about family, and then he made fun of a dude's dead dad and said his dead dad would be in hell. I don't care, like, how bad the guy's dad was. It doesn't matter. It's his dad, and you shouldn't bring up dead parents and then have that bad of a performance. So I don't really think I could be a Colby Covington fan going forward, to be honest. He's kind of like, he's lost me as a fan. Not like he cares. He has a bunch of money, but I can't really root for him anymore. I'm not going to get excited about any more of his fights unless it's against like a decent stylistic matchup where I think he could put on like a good performance. Yeah, pretty disappointing main card. Disappointing pay-per-view. Hopefully the next pay-per-view is better. We had high expectations for this one. I think we all did. It just didn't live up to it. The best fights were on the prelims. Alonzo Menifield, Dustin Jacoby was a fun fight. Dustin Jacoby clearly looking better most of the fight. Alonzo Menifield just hit so hard, and he was able to drop him in rounds 2 and 3 and won the fight 29-28. Great fight. That was fun to watch. Good win by Alonzo Menifield. Sucks for Dustin Jacoby because he was clearly the better striker. That's how it works out. Sometimes power can be the equalizer at times. Cody Garbrandt got a big knockout. That was pretty sweet to see. I was happy for him, especially with Brian Kelleher's hair. He definitely deserved to get knocked out with that weird rat tail he had going on in the back of his head. That was disgusting. But yeah, overall, pretty disappointing card. Sorry, burp. Disappointing card. And we don't have any fights for a while, so that's kind of lame. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the card. Let me know especially what you thought of Colby's performance if you watched it. If you could hit the like button, that would be cool. Subscribe if you want. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.